Hello everyone and welcome to episode 4 of the series where we are making an RPG game from scratch using SFML in C++. Now if you've been watching the series and the previous episodes, you might notice that we've made a massive leap forward. We now can see a home menu with moving background, nice animations, a custom cursor, sound effects, and the slight background music if you can hear that. And that's because the previous episodes we went over the foundation and all the basics. And I felt like we've done enough of that. Let's get into the game itself and continue from where I left off. Now, as you can see, the home menu is pretty much complete. It's got a moving background, as I mentioned. A beautiful title bar here with custom fonts. We have the actual buttons, new game, continue, settings, exit. We have this custom mouse cursor, which you see has this nice blue hover effect when we hover over stuff. The buttons have hover effect. We have these little sound effects playing. And yeah, the second menu that I've implemented is the settings menu. Everything else, we click it and the game crashes, so we won't do that. Let's go to settings menu. Here we go. This is what we have currently. We have this little background border thing. Resolution is empty, still needs to be done. VSync, same thing, still needs to be done. FPS limit still needs to be done. But the music and the sound effects sliders, now that's been completed. So if we drag the music like this, you should hear a change in the volume. Okay. And that seems to work as intended. Same with the sound effects. We get this little pong background noise thingy whenever we stop dragging. I'll give you an example here. There we go. As you can see, that works perfectly. These sliders, lining them up, getting the bar to move with the actual sliding button, all of that was extremely difficult. And I'm not quite sure how the positioning works even now. It just seems to work. You kind of just need to play with it till it gets in the right spot. And this is the right spot and will work for all the resolutions that I've tested. So yeah, we won't go into too much detail about that, but for things like scaling, depending on resolution, it's really difficult to get right, and it's one of those things you just need to play with magic scaling factors until things fit and look how you want them to look. Okay, we have this apply button, which doesn't do anything right now because these settings automatically apply. It's things like the FPS limit and the VSync and resolution that will need the apply button to actually work. We have this little back button to go back to the main menu, else I couldn't really quit the game. And then, of course, we have the exit button, which is the only other button on the main menu that works, and that actually exits the game. And there we go. Game is now closed, as you can see. And yeah, so what we haven't gone over is small things like the menu manager, which if I go to the menu manager here, it just decides, okay, which menu are we currently on? We need to now pass draw events to that menu and actually call all the draw and update events for that specific menu that we're on. It can do things like change menu. Obviously, when we click on the settings menu, we need to instead draw the settings menu. Then we had things like a base class menu, which is very simple. It holds stuff like the window, the view. It has a value on whether we have a pending menu change. And this is how I handle menu changes. So if I'm on the home menu and I click on the settings menu, the home menu will then activate this pending menu change and set it to the value of the settings menu, so that when the menu manager checks every frame, okay, do we have a pending menu change? Yeah, yes, we do. We need to go to the settings menu. It then switches over to the settings menu and draws that instead. So this is how I have this little back and forth communication between the menus and the menu manager. It doesn't only go one way, it goes two ways. So this is just the basic menu class. Then we have things like the main menu, which does a bunch of stuff. It creates all the sprites, aka all the buttons and title and text and whatnot, moving background, all that kind of stuff that we actually see on the screen. It just creates that all and places it where it needs to be and calls certain state changes and things like that. So for example, if we click on the new game button, actually that's a bad example because we haven't done the new game button. If we look at the settings button, we'll see its on-click event simply activates that pending menu change flag and makes it to the settings flag. Very easy. Exit button does things like it closes on click. Okay, again, very easy. The buttons themselves we went over in a previous video. They change their own hover texture and hover sound effect, on-click sound effect. They have all those kind of features. So the menu doesn't need to worry about any of that, which logically makes sense. And yeah, that's pretty much what the main menu does. The settings menu is very similar, creates all the UI elements, just puts them on the screen, but it has the slider, which was really quite a pain to implement. Like I mentioned previously, I mean, if you just take a look at this class, like it's just random scaling values. Like, I mean, look at this for setting the position. It's a bit ridiculous. There must be an easy way to do this, but this is what worked for me at all resolutions, which is what we're looking for in a game like this, where you can change the resolution, okay? So yeah, the slider works, and that's all we needed to do right now. We don't need to worry too much about how it works. If you want to look more into it, you can go check on GitHub, but yeah, it works, okay? The setting is very easy. Once we change, right now we only have the sliders. Once we change the slider values, all we do then is we just update the actual settings manager to have the new value. Okay, he has all the positioning for the actual sliders and text and whatnot. And yeah, I'm looking right over here. I can't seem to see exactly where we changed the actual settings manager value, but it's here somewhere. It might be when we get off of the settings menu, then I get the value from the sliders. But yeah, that's pretty much all the settings does right now. So this is our project and what we have so far. Let's just take a look at it again. Okay, music's going to be loud, so let's drag that down. And I think it's coming along nicely. Home menu completely finished. Settings almost finished. These 3 settings should be pretty quick. Now that we have the sliders implemented, which was the real problem. I see there is a slight issue where the sliders go to like 100%. Yeah, that will also be fixed next episode. So yeah, I'm hoping next episode we fix the sliders. We add in at least 1, 2. We'll try for all settings in the next episode. Why not? And then have the settings page completely finished so that we can actually start with the game itself and stop with all the UI elements, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to jump straight into the gameplay and start implementing that. So if you enjoyed this video, you found it helpful, whatever, like, subscribe, comment any questions down below. And if you want to see the next episode, then stay tuned. It's going to come out very soon. I'm going to start working on it right now. And thank you for watching.